Hi, Elaine.
Good morning, Mary. How are you?
Good, good. Success.
Yes, yeah.
Well, with this part, I have a second computer. I was going to try to do my minutes on the computer.
Mm-hmm.
I did it the old-fashioned way by hand, but this is a kind of shaky computer. So.
Yeah, I don't know. Were you wanting to share it on the screen?
I don't know how to do that.
Okay, yeah, I'm not sure that I have.
Yeah. No, I don't. I'm going to mute myself anyway because you're going to hear the clicking and
Okay.
when I need to speak.
Yeah, you don't have to do that yet, though.
No. I just that's my plan.
Yeah.
Oops, already giving me trouble.
Hello all, this is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Good morning. Thank you for identifying that you're not 14407751728.
Well, that's tattooed on my back, so that's me.
Oh.
So the only one I know that is not going to be here, and she sends her regrets, is Rhonda.
Okay.
I didn't hear from Geraldine, but she made it last time, so.
Yeah, I saw her walking this week, and she reminded me of the meeting.
Okay.
Good morning.
Morning, Jan.
Morning, Jan.
Hi. Have they, Elaine,
Yes.
decided when last night's meeting will take place instead?
I haven't heard yet.
Okay.
No, yeah.
Too bad.
I asked Rebecca last night and she said she thought later in the week, but no definite date.
Yeah, okay.
Where was the fire?
Oh, I heard two different accounts, but a brush fire maybe up off of Old Hay Road, or someone said it was that one of the little transfer stations up that way had a problem.
How's the school year going?
Wonderfully, wonderfully, Gary. It's unbelievable. Our principal keeps sending me joyous kinds of emails that things are great, pictures of the kids under canopies outside on these, they're like yoga mats that every child has been provided with. And they've transformed the school. The library is a classroom. The cafeteria is a classroom. Things are really looking so different. You can hardly recognize our school, but it's working.
That's
And there
great.
are 47 parents who are driving their children to school and picking them up every day so that we can have enough bus. So it's really, the whole community has come together to do this. It's a remarkable achievement, really.
My younger grandchildren are in Andover and I was trying to get my daughter to send them down here to go to school, but
Right.
it didn't work. But they're only going 2 days a week.
Yeah, no. Ours are in full time.
Yeah.
89. 19 have chosen homeschool. Well, not
19.
homeschool, but remote.
Learning. That's actually a bigger number than I thought.
That would have chosen remote.
Yeah.
Well,
25% or something.
a lot of fear.
Yeah.
But they got to choose, which I think is the important part. And the miracle is that our principal figured out how to work with Eastham so that we have 2 teachers dedicated to teaching that way remotely.
Oh.
And the classroom teacher can concentrate on the children in the class. So it works out very, very well. Very well.
And do you have many kids who actually have moved down here at least
10.
now? 10,
I
yeah.
have 10 new students for this 1 year
That's great.
from all over the country, actually. So that's good for our children too, to meet kids from other
Yeah.
places. And although I'm not sure how much chatter goes on these days, the kids eat their meal from a box in their classroom. So they're not gathering it.
Yeah. But still, I bet they're kids being kids, so.
Right. And there is recess. There's still recess. So, yeah. I'm sorry. I get carried away, Elaine, on the subject of school. So I will be quiet now.
Right, all
Good
right.
to hear. It's good to hear.
Yeah.
How are we doing? Who's on now?
Okay.
I'm on.
Yeah, we have Mike and Jan and Tom and Bob and Geraldine and Elaine and Gary.
Shall we start?
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to call the meeting to order. I don't think we'll put up the documents unless we have some question about it, if that's okay with everybody.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So the first item, I think, is the minutes. Does anyone take a minute and read over the minutes of our last meeting?
I read them.
Yeah, they always, Mary's minutes are always excellent.
Right. Anybody have any questions or comments?
I move we approve the minutes from the August meeting.
Second, Michael.
Excellent. All those in favor, please signify, I guess, should we raise our hand and say aye? Aye.
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 Hi.
Aye. Oh, there you are. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Bob.
Yeah, good morning. Glad to hear the good news about the school.
Good.
So let's see. I'm still trying to pull up my agenda, so give me a minute. Here we go. I did it. Okay, so next is town meeting results. So anyone have any observations about town meeting they'd like to share? I thought they did a great job under the circumstances. It felt safe. Everyone was well distanced. Things went through crazy. There were no questions for CPC for $800,000, but for $10,000, there were a bunch of questions.
Yes, could Mary sort of update the situation with the cemetery committee?
Mary, do you have any updates?
No, we did receive a copy, or Gary received a copy of a letter from the Independent to Nancy Vale and David Agar looking for information. But we have 10 days to provide public records. So I was a little confused by his letter.
Right. Mary, let's be clear. That letter was not to us.
That's right.
So I don't believe there's any action that's required on our part. They're asking for information, and frankly, it was just a request, not a freedom of information request. So I don't know what requirement they have for that, but I would let Nancy, is Nancy the chair of the Cemetery Commission?
I'm not sure if it's Nancy or David.
Okay, I would let Nancy or David, we can share the letter if people want. It's a fairly straightforward, we'd like to have information about the restoration from the Independent.
Well, of course, they want to do an article.
Yes,
I I would like to bring up, Gary, I guess at this point, because it's not anywhere else on the agenda. I'd like to talk about the concern that we raised about it properly being a line item in the town budget rather than having the cemetery commissioners come to CPC every time. When they came this time, we really talked about that quite a bit. And I think the conclusion was that it's really up to the commissioners to go to the select board or the FinCom in order to ask for that because they have zero budget. Obviously, they haven't done that. And the whole thing's gotten sidetracked onto what restorations look like rather than how they should be funded. And somehow, I still think it's not for CPC, it's a town, it should be town business, it should be town funded. And somebody's got to start something in that direction as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. How do other folks feel? Should we write a letter or an email to, I guess, to either Michael or Maria about support for the cemeteries?
I think Jen is absolutely right.
So we can draft a letter and have it ready for our next meeting. We'll have a meeting next month because we have the applications coming in.
Right.
So if that's consensus, then we're happy to do that and indicate what we'd like to see is the town support the cemeteries better.
Right.
And from the direct, from the actual monies of the town as opposed to this via the CPC.
Right.
I also think that, we're all volunteers here, and, we have varying levels of expertise and varying levels of success. And I really felt badly that they made that a public issue for a few headstones in a relatively minor thing. We have certainly funded some programs that are better than others, but all do go through a approval process, and once we approve them, deserve our support, I guess. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So maybe we.
Well, I think that the fact that they came every year for money and that it didn't appear that they were doing enough supervision of the quality of the work that was done, I think that is a concern.
No doubt. As I say, I mean, we have had programs and projects that have needed more babysitting, and maybe we are also remiss a little bit in not looking at that more closely. But be that as it may, our focus is we want to support the organizations that come to us that have been approved and that we think the cemetery should receive funding from the town.
Yes.
Is that essentially it? Anybody want to chime in on that? I will send you the, I think I can go back and send you the email that we got from the Independent. Okay, so I don't know that we need a vote on that. We'll draft a letter. Mary can draft something and we'll have it for our next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments or observations on the town meeting?
I think that we were almost anesthetized by the sunshine and the beauty of the day.
Yeah.
And I think that we would have approved almost anything that day. It just gave me the sense that people felt a sense of well-being, and they were happy, and it was really kind of a funny experience, I thought.
I think you're right. I think, and also that, oh my God, we're actually doing it.
Yeah.
So there was a sense of relief. But I don't know if other people had instructions or input, but I promised my wife I wouldn't speak unless it was an emergency, because I wouldn't speak into the microphone.
Yeah.
So maybe that conditioned some people as well.
Maybe.
All right, anything else on town meeting? All right, so let's move to, Mary, do you want us to comment on these grant agreements that you sent out?
Well, if you see something that needs to be changed, yes.
Mary, I had two things. One is on the one for the rental assistance. The funds can't go into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund. For those of you who did go to town meeting, there was an article way at the end about changing the housing trust fund of the town. It's the town's fund, but that it was set up under legislation a long time ago that was somewhat more restrictive. And since then, the state legislature has passed a broader trust fund legislation that will let us do rental assistance, but the current trust fund that we have does not. So where it says project description, transfer community preservation funds into the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, I think we should have to simply say to the town. It's the second line down, project name, project description. Mary, you got that?
Yes.
Okay. Anybody else have any comments on that one?
Well, I just had a point of information. I'm sure it's right, but why are some have to be signed by the entire select board and others not?
Oops.
See ya.
I don't know how to turn this off. I'm sorry, why do,
Some of the agreements require all of the select board to sign, and so some don't. And I'm sure there's a reason for it. I'm just curious what that was.
Mary, isn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, but some of them are to outside entities?
Yes, CDP and the museum, outside entities, and town council reviews them, and the select board is required to sign.
Okay, that clarifies. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on that particular agreement? So the next one actually is the cemetery one that I have a question about, Mary. It says, I think, for gravestone repair and replacement, but I'm not sure if that's what their request was so much as it was for cemetery improvement. And given the current situation, I wonder if we should make it broader.
That's good.
And that was their request, was it not, Mary?
They had changed their focus to stabilizing the stones. We have that in a earlier report, and that was their focus.
It's a busy morning here in the Circuit household.
Yeah.
End the call on my home phone. Okay, so any other questions on that? Or on any of the agreements? All righty, let's move to, I think the next item is applications. All right, Mary, what do we got?
Well, you moved the veterans home, and he's going to update that. We moved the Breuer House And I'll ask Peter to update us on that. CDP will be back with Housing Institute because we gave them 1 year when they asked for 2. And I think Recreation is up to something, but I don't know, and Rhonda isn't here.
Okay. Can you maybe talk to Becky or Rhonda and see if we can get a better feel for what it is that they are anticipated? Now,
Okay.
Everyone knows, well, I guess we'll go down until, but the application deadline for this year is coming up. It's only 3 weeks away. It's October 15th. And Mary, we have done the usual job of advertising that at different places.
Correct?
Should we do any more outreach?
Facebook.
How about at the school or at the COA or at the forum is a good list, or the Democrats have a good list? I guess to be fair, we should be the Democrats and the Republican. Is there a Republican committee of Wellfleet? Anybody want to admit being on the Republican committee of Wellfleet?
Never.
All right. I don't mean to be political here. But anyway, Mary, I think let's see if we can't generate, because I think with town meeting being so late, that I'm not sure how many applications we'll have, but also, guys, ask amongst your group if there's anybody else has any ideas that they would like to see supported. And this is for the spring 2021 town meeting.
I think you might consider, Gary, making an announcement at the next selectmen's meeting during the announcement portion. Because
Right.
that, I think, gets as much coverage as almost anything.
Good idea, Jan.
Yeah.
Okay, so we can try and send out more electronic notices. Is it worth putting up any kind of posters or flyers or anything?
People aren't going around looking at things, no.
Right.
No.
The only place I ever look now is at the post office.
And even there, you go in and out as quickly as you can.
It's true.
At least in South Wellfleet, you do, yeah.
Okay, Mary, will you send a note to Courtney to make an announcement at the select board meeting?
Okay.
All righty. Anything else that we need to do to get the word out? Do you want to talk about finances, Mary?
We're going to work on those with Gene when he has a chance.
Well, bring us up to date on, so how much was approved at the September town meeting?
So the projection is around 500,000, and the actuals will be coming in November. But what I need to establish with Gene is the fund balance of available money.
Right, so just roughly, Mary, how much did we have and how much did we approve?
Well, I think we have around 300,000 left, but I need to establish that with Gene.
300,000, and that doesn't include this year's state match?
No, that's the fund balance.
Right, but the fund balance does not include the state match for FY 2021.
That's right.
And does that include the town receipts? Obviously not for FY 2021.
No.
All right, so in the past, town receipts have been, let's call them, for the sake of discussion, something in excess of 500,000. Is that a fair number, Mary?
Yes, that's what I said.
All right, so 500,000 plus 300,000 plus a state match. And for the sake of argument, no one knows what the state of the state will be, but let's call that 50 or 100,000. So we have something on the order of 850,000 plus in money available to give out in grants. So we have a substantial fund.
Yeah.
Is that about right?
It's
Mary?
approximate. It's approximate.
Yeah, just as an estimate. Okay. So as you talk to folks and as you think about your own organizations, we could support a substantial request if it was there. Any feedback from, actually going back, any feedback from the museum? Are they going forward with the work? Maybe we could get an update from them.
Well, they had some issues of change of chair or president.
Yeah.
And there was the death of John Connor's wife. So they just put me on hold, basically.
Okay. So
They won't be asking for any more right now, will they, Mary?
I don't know.
Hmm.
okay. Well, we'll see what comes in the next 3 weeks. If we don't get any more, do we want to consider extending the deadline or leave it where it is?
Well, if we hear that somebody needs a little more time
Yeah.
to prepare their proposal, then I think we could extend it on a one-to-one basis, but I don't think I'd, just generally do that.
Okay. Because we also have to get it approved and get it to the select board, and they have to go through their process, and then we have to get it onto the warrant. So I know it's crazy because we just did town meeting, but it's only, a couple of months away.
And we may need to bring people in to talk with us. I think
Right. Yeah.
the ones that we do have, I think we're going to want to hear from the proponents.
Okay.
I think Janice is right.
Okay. So at this time, we're not anticipating any extension of the deadline.
Be nice if the Open Space Committee came up with something, Bob.
Yes, I don't think it's likely, though.
No.
There was some talk about how much money we had accumulated and if a certain property became available, whether we would be able to get $10,000.
10,000?
Yes.
Oh, well, I think so.
I think you might find a favorable audience here for a
Yeah.
$10,000 request. I don't
Would that,
want to prejudge it, but
would that have to be applied for before the October 15th deadline?
yes.
Okay, that's what I thought. So it won't be.
If you have something that you're not sure of, you could always submit a request, and then if it didn't come to fruition, you could pull it.
Okay, thanks.
I will speak, maybe I'll ask Elaine also to speak for housing, but I am sure that for those of you who may not know, at last night's meeting, which was canceled, the RFP for the 95 Lawrence housing effort was being considered and possibly passed. So I think it's likely that you will see a request coming in, something related to 95 Lawrence from the Housing Committee. And I'm sure we can get that done before October 15th. Anything, Elaine, you wanted to add?
No, I was thinking along those same lines. And maybe our new trust fund will be set up by then. So potentially just a major request to have a nice sum of money transferred to that.
That, just as an FYI, guys, most towns that have set up the trust fund under the new state legislation are now just asking for a transfer CPC funds to support projects to that trust fund And we see that in towns all around us, and maybe that is the way we will go, rather than try and forecast what the need will be in the coming year.
Yeah, I just say, I do think we have to really look at being ready to support 95 Lawrence Road. But
Yeah.
that's a long-term project, even if things keep moving along, which thank goodness they are. We'll still have to keep up with our smaller projects. I mean, the buy down is really, aside from habitat, the only way to get people into home ownership. So, we'll want to keep those efforts going, but at the same time, based on other towns' experience with larger projects, we need to be prepared to support it.
Right. So FYI about the buy down, if anybody has any friends, neighbors who contacts, we hope to roll out the next request for buy down grants early in 2021, January timeframe. So if they've got their eyes on a house or something comes up, definitely keep us in mind, and that should be going out in the next couple of months. We thought we'd wait till after the holidays to do it. All right, anything else on anticipated applications or finances? Or this, go ahead.
Hey, Garrett, it's Tom.
Thank you, Tom.
Good morning, everybody. I just want to bring up an issue. Maybe I can get some guidance. It's around financials. So we, as you know, we do these Form Bs every year, and we have a new vendor that's doing them. And I'm going to blame it on COVID, but due to COVID, the state, we realized about a month ago, the Commonwealth is backed up in applying these forms into their database. So what that means is they just completed 2018.
Wow.
So when we take our list of projects we want to do and we hand them over to the new individual, basically she's done some duplicates, meaning she starts the project, she starts the site and does this work, and then realizes, she goes back to the macros and realizes, whoop, somebody in the state just filed it. So she's kind of running blind. We're kind of running blind. We did have a list of most of the properties in Wellfleet, which ones we wanted to do, which ones were done. But it's caused about, I would say, 20 to be started and stopped.
20?
Okay.
Wow.
It's wasteful, right?
It's wasteful, but we're having a meeting tomorrow night, hopefully with the historical committee. Hopefully we can come to, why did this happen? I blame it on COVID because they just stopped, the state just stopped putting them into macros. So this poor lady's running blind.
What are
So
other, what are other towns doing, Tom?
No, everybody's in the same boat. Some towns have kind of slowed it down, from what I'm hearing. But now the good news is that this young lady that's doing the Form Bs has some good connections with the Commonwealth, and they gave Wellfleet 30 free Form B applications.
Ooh.
So that's good news. Unfortunately, I think 5 or 6 of those were duplicates. We're already in. She's trying to work it again, where we can add 6 more names or 6 more houses to the list. I guess my question is, maybe it's to Mary. Is there any way we can reimburse her for start and stop due to COVID?
Well, you have been submitting her bills, correct?
Yeah, I've been submitting her bills, but what I'm concerned about, Mary, I can't submit a bill that I know is already done, I guess. So I don't need an answer now. Think about it. But I don't know,
So-
anybody got any suggestions on the team here?
So you don't want to pay for a duplicate, obviously,
No, I don't want to pay for a duplicate.
but how do we know it's a new one?
Well, we know it's a new one when it eventually goes into the Macros database.
And that's when
But
you
we,
pay her?
that's when we pay her.
But-
Yeah, she'll
but
send
the-
a note to the town.
But
I'll-
the
Go ahead.
Ray ones, there were 50 drafts. And did those go into Macris? Or are they just draft? The Eric Dre forms, there were 50 draft forms we paid him for.
Yeah, Mary, I don't know.
So that's the issue. Some of those went into the Macris.
Yeah, we went back and forth with Eric Dre 2 or 3 times. All right. Now, why I asked you the other day, did we pay in the $12,500? He said he was holding sending the Form Bs to Macris because he hadn't been paid.
Huh.
So now I find out from you that he's been paid. So I'm going to go back to him or meet with the historical committee, let one of the chairs go back to him and say, why aren't you updating this form that we asked you to update? So, anyways, we got a couple glitches in this thing.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make some recommendations to the historical committee on Thursday night that we gotta prove everything before it goes to the town or it goes to you. Because these bills are going back and forth. We're paying these vendors and then we find out it's not in the Macros database. I can accept COVID, all right, but I can't accept that I sent him as a vendor. I sent him to the Commonwealth, and we can check them off our list. That's what I'm struggling with. So, anyways,
Tom,
yes.
what is the contract for the work? Is it on a time and materials basis, or is it to complete a successful?
Yeah, there's X amount of it's 220 of Form B, Gary.
So it's
So every
really
time-
it's not on effort. It's on when you have completed a Form B, you get paid. Is that
Correct?
So I'm not. I mean, I understand their frustration about doing duplicates, but that's not the basis of your agreement with them, is it?
No, it's based on completion.
Yeah.
But the problem is we're sending her the list, telling her to do it.
Oh, I see.
All right, and then and it's not from one of us; it's from like 3 or 4 of us to say, okay, we're looking at Eric Dre's list. These are the ones he wanted to do. They don't say completed. We go on the Macros; they're not completed, and then we send her the list. As she's doing it, she discovers when she goes, and she checks Macros, by the way, too. So she sees it's not done. She starts working on it, goes back into Macros to get some other data. Whoop, it just popped in that it was completed. And when she calls Commonwealth, they say, well, COVID has caused problems, and now we just completed 2018. So, all the forms that came in for 2018. So it's just one of those screwed up deals. Anyway.
Gary?
Elaine, yes.
Tom, can the people at the state not provide you with the list that has yet to be entered, that they have them? They haven't had the time to enter them, but they have.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good thought. Good comment. That's what I'm proposing. That we that's one of the steps we should be taking.
Yeah. Otherwise, it seems like maybe a slowdown until they get caught up might be the most cost-effective thing to do.
Yeah. Okay, I just wanted to throw that out.
Are there we're sort of, I think now on the reports and concerns. Are there other items that people have? We did get a report from the Recreation Department that they have completed the whatever you call that, the outside structure.
Pavilion.
William.
Pavilion, thank you. The pavilion structure. And for those of you who have had an opportunity to look at it, I think it looks pretty good.
It
I mean,
does.
Very
Yeah,
nice.
I was very impressed with that.
Yeah. Me too.
Is there supposed to be a budget in the report? Because there didn't seem to be one for the rec department.
A budget for the project, Michael?
Yes, in other words, what they actually expended.
Oh, I believe it's 100%, but Mary, can you comment?
That's right, they spent it all.
Right. Michael, they actually had to bring some more money to it because I think the length of time it took to do those pillars impacted the costing, but be that as it may, I believe it's done and I believe they have been paid. Is that correct, Mary?
Yes, they were paid in full.
But anyway, I think that is good. Any other concerns that people have about projects that are ongoing? We've talked about the cemetery.
Is the Pond Hill School totally finished, Mary?
We're finished with them, but he seems to be doing some things, so I'm not sure of his status with the building inspector for
Yeah, that's what I wondered, if they're permitted yet.
a complete certificate of occupancy.
Right.
I don't know if everyone knows, but our town manager left for Eastham. Excuse me, our town inspector, our building inspector,
Oh,
Justin Post.
Justin Post. So,
oh, what a loss. That's a shame.
yeah. No, actually, I thought he did a good job. But be that as it may, I don't know if do we have a building inspector now?
They probably just send us somebody until we get one.
Maybe they hired
Building
somebody.
inspector.
So anyway, Mary, can you just send them an official email just to get a status of the COA,
Of the COA.
of the certificate of occupancy?
Oh, okay. But who am I going to send it to?
Who do we, no, who do we send communications regarding this project to now?
The building inspector. But I don't.
Oh, well, I don't know. Let's see if we can find out.
How about just sending a request again to the Pond Hill School
Yeah,
for status of occupancy or something?
Yeah, I'd send it to Justin and it go right to the department and somebody can look it up whether or not the occupancy
right.
was.
You could call the secretary there, whose name I forget now.
Theory.
Yeah, and just ask her what the status is. All right, are there other projects that people have questions about or concerns? Or anyone want to share some good news about a project?
Well, the Habitat one, they sent us a nice report and they promised one final report when they actually change papers, but it's completed. They had a little road issue for a while that the farm of the Granlands were really good about keeping people out of that property. But the new boutique hotel owners were having delivery people or trash people come up the road, and it was an issue. It's resolved. It's all resolved now.
Right.
And the people are in. They've got children. Everything's going well.
Happy, good.
I think there are 5 new kids in the Nauset schools. From those 2 families, they've moved in, and it's an old adage, but good fences make good neighbors. So they put up a fence to the hotel, and I think that has resolved some of the problems.
Okay.
But yes, it was nice to get that report. And I can also say on the housing side that CPC funded a technical support and consultant project a couple of years ago, and we now have an electronic newsletter that we send out. And if you're not on the list, we're happy to add you to the list. People getting that newsletter. Maybe we should just send it to everybody on the CPC.
Right.
All right.
I've been getting it. I don't know if it's CPC or somewhere else.
Yeah,
Me
that's
too.
great. Everybody get it?
Yeah.
Oh, terrific. So at least we are moving forward on that. Okay, any other projects or concerns? So then the question becomes, how do we move forward with these applications? Is October 21st enough time for you, Mary, if the deadline is the 15th? And does that work for the members? And is that the time that we would invite people to come, or are we first going to review them?
We first review them, I think.
So are we thinking of October meeting would be our review of the applications, and then we would have either a November meeting or a late that invite people in?
So October 21st would be the review.
Yep.
And would you want a late or an early November meeting to start invite? Well, we don't know how many people you'll be inviting.
Well, I think
Early November.
early November too, given the holiday. So let's pick a date in November that we will tentatively say this is when we'll have the hearings.
Well, I guess it's not that early because the 11th is Veterans Day, so the 18th.
Is that too late?
Well, it won't interfere with Thanksgiving, which is right before, on the 25th.
Okay.
4th is a little, wait a minute, is the 4th?
Would be two
Yeah, the
weeks
4th
away.
would be possible also.
That will be the day after election, so I don't know if that has any meaning or not, but
Yeah, we all could be happy or could be depressed.
yeah. Or both, we.
And we might have been up late in the night.
Yeah, so maybe the 18th is fine.
The 18th.
Yeah.
So does
That
that,
gives me-
does anybody have a problem with the 18th?
No.
I'm good with the 18th.
Great. So why don't we say 9 o'clock on the November 18th is when we'll have the hearings. And we'll have the review of the applications on the 21st.
Well, some towns have actual hearings. We don't have formal public hearings, but it is a good way to get the word out later after we've looked it over. Just tune in basically on the 18th.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that schedule work for folks?
Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
All righty. Anything else that we have as comments or concerns? Well, thank you all. Stay healthy.
You
And-
too.
Yes,
Thank you, Gary.
and we will see you next month.
All right, great. Thanks, Garrett. Thanks, Mary.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Mary,
Bye.
thank you for all your help.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 If I